Welcome to the Hundredfold Journey. We help people step out of religious bondage and into true abundance. We invite you to embark on a journey, a spiritual journey called the Hundredfold. At a Hundredfold, we are a group of people developing new thoughts, habits, and beliefs to understand our true identity, to live our life purpose and experience the abundant life just the way Jesus did. Our mission is to provide support, encouragement, and resources to help you on your journey. The life you are meant to live is closer than you think. The journey is the destination, and your journey starts now. Good morning, Doug here from the Hundredfold Journey. Thanks again for joining us on this Grace Awakening Network program. We're on a journey coming alongside of you together to know your true identity, to live your life purpose, and experience true abundance. Because a Hundredfold is about a group of people who are looking to find their true identity, and by doing so, finding God's true identity. So thanks for joining us this morning. We're in a series called The Kingdom Parables, which are found in Mark chapter 4. And Mark 4:13, Jesus says, if you can't understand the meaning of this parable, how will you understand all of the other parables? So Mark chapter 4, there's multiple parables in this chapter, and we're digging through one by one. But the important part is if we don't understand this one, then we won't understand any of them. So very important to identify exactly what he means by that. And this is what he means. He says that you are the sower. The sower is you. We are planting seeds. The seed is either God's words, your thoughts, which is in you. And the soil is your faith. It's what do you believe about those seeds that you're planting? And the way that we believe it is, how good is God? The way you answer that determines your life experience. Do I really believe that God is that good? And if he is that good, then that will determine your life experience. As a reminder, this is really how it works. I covered this a couple of weeks ago, but what we have is we have our mind, which is where the seeds, which is the thoughts and the words, where those seeds are being planted is in our mind. And these are the thoughts of knowing the promises of God. They're knowing they're true for you. And what your true identity is, and that you are the dwelling place of God. And then your heart is where love is, where there's no judgment to yourself or to others, trusting that you've been given everything for life and godliness. And there's gratitude, there's rest in your heart. So as we've shown, is the seed, which is the thought, which is the word, then drops, if you will, into the soil of either love or fear. And there's only two conditions of your heart. It's either love or fear. So then that seed gets planted in that soil of our hearts. And then it will start to produce. It'll produce the seed that was planted. Just like we talked about last week, right? The orange seed will produce oranges. The apple seed will produce apples. The fear seeds will produce more fear. The love seeds will produce more love. Now, let's get into the parable of the seed and sleep and what that means. But before we do that, I have a video to share with you.
First of all, seeds come in lots of different shapes and sizes, but they're all made of three parts. An outer shell called the seed coat, a tiny baby plant that's inside the seed called the embryo, and some plant food for the embryo called endosperm. The seed coat has an important job. It covers the entire seed, protecting the little baby plant inside and keeping it from drying out. The seed coat also has super sensing powers. It has special chemicals in it that can tell when the seed is in the right place to start growing. For example, the sunflower seeds and the pumpkin seeds in your trail mix sense that it's not safe to grow. After all, seeds can't grow when they're surrounded by raisins and chocolate chips. So while the seeds are in a bag or in your hands, it's like they're asleep. The seeds are still alive, but they're dormant or inactive. Some seeds can stay like this for hundreds or even thousands of years. Great question, Squeaks. To get started, every seed needs water, the right temperature, and the right amount of light. Once the seed has these three things, like when it's planted in some nice wet soil, the embryo, or baby plant, gets the signal to start growing. For plants, this growing process is called germination. First, the seed coat lets some water through to the embryo, but the embryo needs more than just water if it's going to grow. Good thing there's a whole bunch of plant food right there inside the seed. Until the plant can make its own food from sunlight, which it will need leaves to do, it relies on the endosperm for energy. It's like the little baby plant has its own backpack of snacks. So the embryo keeps growing and taking in more water until the seed coat cracks open and the embryo kicks out a kind of a foot. But not at all like my foot. The first part of the plant to come out of the seed is the root. The root always grows downward, no matter what way the seed is planted. A seed can actually tell which way is up and which way is down. So the root pushes down deeper and deeper into the soil, looking for more water and minerals to feed the baby plant. Once the plant is all grown up, those deep roots will have another job. They'll help keep the plant from falling over or blowing away in the wind. But soon after the first baby root finds its way into the dirt, another part of the seed pops out, this time in the opposite direction. A shoot, which has the stem of the plant and a few leaves, pushes its way up towards the sunlight. Once the shoot breaks through the soil to the open air above, we say that it's sprouted. Now the plant doesn't need the endosperm anymore because it can make its own food from sunlight. With enough water and sunlight and the right temperature, the young plant will continue to grow, getting bigger and growing more leaves until it's an adult plant and it can produce seeds of its own.
All right, I really like this video because it's pretty simple, pretty quick, but it describes exactly the way God has designed the seeds to grow. So let's talk about that. So describe how the seed and the four soils apply to this video. So notice that the seed was planted in the right environment. The environment was soil, water, and light. So unlike the other the other three soils, right? The first one was the soil was picked up by birds. So those are thoughts that we had that popped in, but they didn't take root because, they're just, the thought is, walk from point A to point B. Then there's seeds that plant in shallow soil. So there's no roots that it can grow, right? So you really don't believe the thoughts. And then there's seeds that grow for a period of time. So it is in soil, and you do believe that these are true, but then the circumstances and the situations around you choke that word out. So for example, when you say that Ephesians 1 says that we're holy and blameless and righteous in his sight, but then the seeds around, I'm sorry, the what manifests around you don't reflect that, then you go, okay, maybe I'm not. And maybe, people are telling me that like the religion, right? Breaking the barriers of religion is they tell you something different. So then all of a sudden it gets choked out and then it dies. The fourth soil is what we're talking about, is where the seed is planted, you receive it and you believe it, and then it grows and then it manifests. So that's what we're talking about. So that's how the four soils apply in this video. So now let's talk about the seed and sleep in the actual parable. In Mark chapter 4, it says, and he was saying, the kingdom of God is like a man who casts seed upon the soil. He goes to bed at night and gets up by day, and the seed sprouts and grows. How he himself does not know. The soil produces crops by itself. First the blade, then the head, then the mature grain in the head. But when the crop permits, he immediately puts in the sickle because the harvest has come. Right? So here's the farmer, and he's planting seeds. So how does the sower sow? It really doesn't describe it here, but he just casts seed upon the soil. And it could be one or it could be a bunch. But how does he sow? He just casts the seed. And what does the sower do after he sows? He goes to bed and he goes to sleep, basically. He's at a state of rest. And what does the seed do after it's sown? It grows. And in fact, the verse says the soil produces crops by itself. So there's nothing that he's doing. It's the power is within the seed. And what does the sower do at harvest? He basically, harvests the crop, and basically it manifests for him, and he's able to see it, and he harvests it. So that's the seed and sleep parable. As a metaphor, who is the man? And the man is us, right? We are the sower. So it's the man is the sower, which represents us. What seeds is he's planting, and how many? And it can be seeds of joy or gratitude, or it could be fear, anxiety, and doubt. So what seeds are you planting? Do you is it coming from a place of fear or a place of love? And what or who is causing the seed to sprout and grow? Again, it's the condition of the environment of the faith. And the seed has everything that it needs to grow within itself. So our only role is to make sure that that soil is in agreement or in the right conditions. And why is a receptive heart or good soil so important? It's because that's the environment which grows, as you can see in the four pictures, right? Is there's full agreement, you see the manifestation of it, and it's considered good soil. Now remember, good soil, it's not saying good soil produces good crops and bad soil produces bad crops. No, the good soil produces whatever seed you put in it. Whatever seed you put in it is what's going to grow. Oranges, apples, fear, love. The soil will produce the seeds that you plant. So it's not good soil, bad soil. It's just the environment that it's in. Do you truly believe that that's true for you? It will then grow. But we have to ask ourselves the questions, what are those seeds and where do they come from? So the crazy thing is we have over 60 to 70,000 thoughts in any given day. And 90% of those thoughts are the same ones that you thought about today, yesterday, the day before, and so forth. So those are the seeds that are being planted. So we have to be very particular about what the seeds, what we're allowing to come into our thoughts, and then the seeds that actually drop that we start to believe. And the way you do that is you must become conscious of the unconscious behaviors you've been choosing that have led you to the same experiences. To change, you must make new choices, take new actions, and create new experiences. And this is from Dr. Joe Dispenza. So here's a little bit more detail about those thoughts that drop, is that there needs to be a coherence, an agreement, or harmony with the thoughts that you have, and you always get what you believe you deserve, and it's the condition of your heart that causes that to grow. And is it growing? Love is the reason you get what you believe, and fear is the reason you get what you believe. And it's what you believe, right? And there needs to be harmony. So if a thought drops that says, for example, one of the verses is, and my God shall supply all your needs according to his riches in glory in Christ Jesus. Do I really believe that all my needs are constantly met? So when that thought drops into your heart and you believe it, and there's coherence between the two, right? The thought and your belief are in harmony, they're in agreement. Then you can then come from a place of rest and know that all your needs are met. Another one would be, a negative one would be, let's say that you go to the doctor and he says that you're sick or you have some disease, right? So there's a thought that comes externally and you think that thought, and then all of a sudden you believe it, and there's harmony, and you go, yeah, you know what, I do. And you start to feel the symptoms, and there's an agreement, there's harmony with that thought. So thoughts, again, are very powerful, and we have to be very careful about what we are planting. And when there's agreement and harmony, then that's the soil that then will cause it to grow. So can you see how these parables are so important to understand? Because each one of these parables are talking about the seed and the sower. All of these in Mark chapter 4 are describing this. And when Jesus says that when you understand this, then you'll understand all the parables and what they mean. So you you get to determine the what, the seeds that you plant, the thoughts that you think, and you decide to believe, just like the doctor or whatever, the doctor appointment, or believing that all your needs are met. So you get to determine the what. You're planting the seeds, but the how and the when God determines. And that's where rest really comes in, is that we don't have to worry about, okay, now what's going to happen next and how it's going to happen. For example, you may have a thought or a desire of a seed that you want to plant. You deliberately plant the seed, and the seed is, I want a new job, right? So you plant that seed, and then you believe that it's going to manifest. You believe that, and you're putting the water and the sunlight on it. You're giving it attention. You're deliberately thinking about that, but you're not worried about how and when it's going to come. You're like the farmer that after you plant that seed, then you can be in rest. You can rest assured that the seed has the power within itself to grow. So again, the how and the when are determined by God. That's why the farmer was able to rest, because he knew that seed was planted. So what's the definition of faith in this parable? Faith is rest. It's resting in knowing that that seed has been planted and that it will grow. So that's our role. That's our job. Plant the seeds. Don't worry about the how and the when. God will cause that to grow. Our job is to rest. And the definition of faith is rest. The age of believing is over. We are in the age of knowing. So what this means is that the fact that you know that that seed is going to grow, I'm going to get a new job, that you know that's going to happen because the power is within the seed. So an example of that, of knowing rather than believing, is, for example, like a chair. You're sitting in a chair. You don't have to think about sitting in your chair because you know that it's going to support you. You don't have to worry or turn around or check it out and make sure that it's sturdy enough. No, you just know that it's going to support you. There's really, in a sense, no belief. You just know that it's going to happen. And that's where rest comes from, is resting. You can't rest if you don't know. You can't rest if you know, if you don't, you can't rest if you don't know that that seed's not going to grow, or that you trust God, or that he's really that good. You're gonna be fearful, you're gonna be anxious. And what's going to happen is that seed, then, just like in the other parable, it's going to choke that out. So the job that you planted the seed for, when you start seeing around you that conditions don't match that, then that seed will get choked out. So now we're in an age of knowing that all of our needs are constantly met. So just like we did last week, I introduced what seeds then do we plant? And I created this a while ago, and these are 10 truths, and you could even call them 10 seeds. And these are the seeds that I've been planting in my life over the last several years. And what I have to remember is that 1 John 4:17 says, as he is, so I am in this world. So these truths were true for Jesus, and as he is, so I am. So therefore, they're true for me. So these are the seeds that we plant, and to keep that soil in good condition is memorizing these, applying these, and meditating upon these. So, for example, all my needs are constantly met. I'm always in the right place at the right time. These are true for me, and seeds that I'm planting. And the seeds that I'm planting will then produce I'm always in the right place at the right time, and all my needs are constantly met. I actually had an example this last week. I was at a work event where inside we had a bunch of booths and everything covered, and it was inside. And I decided to go outside and take some pictures because it was beautiful outside. And it turned out that the time that I was outside, the CEO of our company came walking in, and I happened to see him, say hi. We shook hands, we talked for a minute. And so I had an opportunity to talk to a very important person in our company, our CEO, at that moment, because I was always at the right place at the right time. So that's how this works, is I didn't have to think about doing that. It just, I decided at that moment that I was going to go out and take some pictures. And then it just happened to be at that same moment that our CEO happened to walk by. Again, it wasn't anything I was worried about. It just, I was at rest. I was enjoying it. I was in an attitude of gratitude. And God had granted me favor in the sight of those around me, including my CEO. And that's how the seed grows or produces. It produces what you plant. And the seed that I am planting is, I'm always in the right place at the right time. Everything my hand touches prospers. Circumstances don't matter, only state of being matters. So meditate upon these, apply these in your life, and you will start to see them grow. You'll start to see them manifest. And you can find these 10 truths on the website, the100foldjourney.com, and there's a PDF there. So I'd recommend printing that out, putting it on your refrigerator, putting it on your mirror, and start planting these seeds. But then we have to ask ourselves the question, how good is God? The way you answer that determines your life experience. The seeds that I've been planting are on that same list, right? Always in the right place at the right time. God has granted me favor. Everything my hand touches prospers. Is God really that good that that can be true for me? The way you answer that determines your life experience. And if you say, no, Doug, that's not it, life is hard, my job sucks, you know, I don't believe that God is that good, then that will be your life experience. And those are the thoughts that you keep thinking about over and over and over again. The 60,000 thoughts that you're thinking about from your subconscious mind, that will then manifest. So you have to change the way you think about your environment, and even more importantly, how you think about God. All right, that concludes our teaching for this morning, the seed and sleep. And the biggest takeaway for me on this one is just there's rest, right? There's sleep. You don't have to worry about that seed growing, because when you have it in the environment of love, not fear, it will grow. Next week, we're going to talk about the seed and size. So join us next week for that lesson. You can also reach out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, as well as YouTube. We've got a lot of content on these sites. So please visit our website at the100foldjourney.com, and there's links to each of those. Other seeds that I would recommend planting as well, these are also on the100foldjourney.com. There are 2 ebooks on there, and one is called 21 Days of Gratitude, and the other is 21 Days of Identity. And the 21 Days of Gratitude is each and every day you're looking to find the things that you're most grateful for. And gratitude is a great environment for the heart condition to be in. In fact, it is the best condition for that soil. So this is teaching us to be looking for things to be grateful for. And each day there's a challenge for what to think about and what to look for. And then same thing for 21 Days of Identity. Each day has a challenge for you to think about what your true identity is. I am love. I am his bride. I am his ambassador. So go into the website and you can download those ebooks. Again, these are in PDF format. Print those out and work on those each and every day, and you'll start to see your thoughts change and your life change, because these are seeds that you are now planting for yourself. All right, that concludes today's message. Thanks again for joining us on this Grace Awakening Network. Visit our website. There's a QR code. And then, of course, if you have any questions or want to reach out to me, reach me at the100foldjourney@gmail.com. Again, thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.